you ever wish your day wasn't dictated by your health? Are you tired of being tired all the time, or is pain holding you back from enjoying your time with your family? Would you like to manage your symptoms holistically, but you just don't know where to begin? I am so excited that you're here. This podcast will help you understand how natural remedies work so you can relieve your symptoms and live a fuller life. My name is Penny. I'm an occupational therapist, past pharmaceutical rep, a mom, and a wife with a strong faith, and for 25 years, I battled through debilitating Crohn's disease. I took all the medicine and did all the surgeries that stole so much time with my family, but never truly healed me. I finally realized if I was going to survive this disease, I needed to open my stubborn eyes to alternative solutions. I researched how perfectly our bodies work with plants and a lifestyle that made my health less of a burden to my family and aligned so beautifully with my faith and my medical training. If you are ready to reclaim your life with holistic options that are easy to implement as a busy mom and provide relief that lasts, this is the podcast for you. Hey there, Becoming Natural fans. This is Penny Sampler, your host of the Becoming Natural podcast. And today is episode 18, Ways to Avoid Overwhelm and Empower Letting Go and Saying No. I have had to re-record this because it got a little bit on the long side, and I'm going to try to either whip it out fast or I may cut this into two parts just for the interest of time. I'm also playing a little bit with the audio, so we'll see how that goes. Just to be fully transparent so you know, anybody can do this because I'm learning as I go as well. But let's get on with letting go and saying no. This is one of the best changes that I have made in my life in cleaning up my life, and it's basically cleaning up my brain. Can we all relate to that? The biggest struggle for me in this little podcast world here is that as I'm growing is remembering what I've already shared. And then I think, well, maybe someone's listening for the first time and have no idea what my story is. And I also think a little bit of repetition is okay. And isn't there a statistic that you need to hear something 7 times for it to sink in? So for the repetition for my original faithful listeners, or better yet, those of you who have walked this path with me, just let the repetition serve as a reminder that God is so, so good. Some people don't like to remember their trauma, and I was definitely that person. I refused to write it down. I didn't want to remember it or talk about it. I avoided any discussion related to the most difficult pieces of my struggles, particularly related to the pain and mom guilt, but also just guilt that what I caused for my family. It was really difficult because we missed a vacation for my parents, and I had a lot of guilt. So I have come to believe that when you don't want to remember the trauma, that truly you aren't actually truly healed. You might have what we would call a physical healing, like you can see your body and know that you're physically healed, but your brain is physical and your physical brain is not completely healed. We have been led to believe that it is unnecessary, or if we can't see it or feel the pain, then it's really not pain. Just suck it up and move on. Once I had therapy and gained some strength and confidence in the power of my story, I try to regularly remind myself of where I was and how far I've come. Only my family and the best of my friends saw me in that hospital room when I was septic, and thank goodness we don't have any pictures for documentation of that room, but it was not pretty. In fact, it would probably bring most people to tears, whether you know me or not, just knowing if you could see that my wound was kept open for 3 months. And that's easy to say, but it's really hard to imagine. But my doctors didn't want it to heal until they were certain that all the infection is gone. I had so much infection in my body, which is why my life was at risk. All of my organs were covered with infections. There were balls of infections all over the inside of my abdomen. So they kept me open from sternum to pubic bone for 3 months by using a wound vac that needed to be cleaned and changed multiple times a week with immeasurable pain. And I mean, that was traumatic for me. That was traumatic for everybody in the room because I couldn't be alone when that was changed because it hurt so bad. There was lots of yelling. I can laugh now, but I mean, it was pretty brutal. And I know that my family, those are the pieces that they don't want to remember either. So keeping your wound open, not very much fun. I try not to share that because who wants to hear about the excruciating amount of pain, even the chronic pain that I was living in on a daily basis for leading up to that. I mean, 5 years, I guess. But I didn't want to complain. Nobody wants to be with a complainer. Nobody would want to be around me. But life was not so rosy. Yes, having sepsis was kind of, the end all be all. That's where everything peaked. But having little kids, I managed to stay home and out of the spotlight on the hard days. So many of my friends only saw me when I was out and about on the better days. Only my few, close friends knew when I was homesick, and there were fewer and fewer good days as time went along. So those reminders of the hard days really serve to me now that my brain is healed as a huge reminder to me of how big and how good God is. So, so good. How far I really have come. As I have said many times before, 3 years ago, I sat down to write the book that I was told that I should write, and I knew I needed to do it. I was in. But outside of research papers and my thesis for graduate school, the only writing that I had ever done was writing a family blog, if you want to call that blog writing, and it was about my kids. I wrote daily. I rarely missed a day to post about their shenanigans. They were comical. 3 boys provide great material, and I loved documenting their stories for the future. I love it even more now, being able to go back and read those things. They're hilarious, and so many of the stories I would have forgotten had they not been written. So for those of you little moms, side note out there with little kids, start today. Start a blog with pictures, journal, tell the stories, even if it's just for you. The public doesn't have to read it. But each year I printed it into a book format for each kid, so they each have their own blog book from that year, which of course they have zero appreciation for right now. But we do have more laughs as they grow up, and I read some of their posts once in a while. And I never would have remembered half of those stories had I not blogged. And I think they're going to appreciate them in the future, as will their future families. But every day was a comedy hour for us. I used to think I was the luckiest mom in the world. We had so much fun together. But our friends and family began to tell me that I should really write because they started reading my blog. Of course, I laughed and I blew them off. I just had really funny kids, and they wrote their own stories. Boys are boys, and they do boy things, and they're funny. So besides, what was I supposed to write about outside of writing about boys? But as my story and my health aged, I started having panic attacks from nowhere. This is after I had, quote, healed on the outside, and I started falling apart mentally or emotionally or both, whatever you want to call it. And I ended up seeing that counselor and being diagnosed with PTSD, which, I take very careful care to say that I had PTSD, simply because in my mind, I feel that's reserved for someone who has had some severe trauma or been in war. But my counselor counseled me through my own trauma that I never grieved, because I was always focused on what the next physical step of beating the infection was, how I was going to heal my body next, learning how to eat calories again. They told me I had to eat so many calories a day, yet I wasn't hungry. My stomach had been removed to the size of, I don't know. I ate a grape. That was a meal, a grape. So my stomach was tiny, yet they're telling me I have to eat. It became very stressful. So I was just focused on becoming Penny again. If you saw all the things that were on my body, attached to my body, around my body, you would be shocked that I'm even alive today, which is a complete testament to the power of our body knowing how to heal. But becoming a mom, a wife, a friend, becoming normal again, it took some time. After I finished therapy, I kept the book on the back burner despite my family really encouraged me to write. I just still felt a little fragile yet. I think now it was God waiting for the perfect time and the perfect platform, but I also think perhaps a little bit of that was Satan just trying to prevent me from sharing my larger story to you. So we're going to flash back a little bit to high school. I took this enormous aptitude test, which I actually have had both of my older kids take right now. And it's not just what you take at school, but we flew to Dallas. It was 2 days long. It worked my brain muscles to the core. It was grueling. My brain hurt when I was done with it. And if you aren't clear, aptitudes are what are innate in you. It's not anything you can study for. It's what you're naturally good at. So going into the test, I wanted to be an architect. After 2 days, I knew before the test results were even back, probably before the test was even over, that I was definitely not on a path to being an architect by the aptitude tests that I was given. The results actually told me that I should be a writer, I needed to research, go into law or practice medicine, even in the service industry. But most of all, the results were definitely not pointing in the direction of being an architect, and I totally knew it. Ask my sweet architect friend, Katie. I can renovate a house and I can move simple things around, but throw ceilings in the mix. Holy Hannah, I am so confused and I am so out. My eyeballs start rolling. I hate ceilings. Who knew? I hate ceilings. But I call myself more of a cut and paste creative. I can see things and I know it looks good, but visualizing is definitely not my forte. So down the drain went my architectural dreams and opened up a few doors I had never even given a thought, like science and medicine and being a doctor or a lawyer. Back then, when we read and we write, and I tell this to my kids all the time, you're being forced to read things you don't want to read, or you're being forced to write papers when you don't want to write. So you don't really know what you love until you're free and you can do whatever you want. I remember when I graduated from graduate school, after all the reading and studying neuroscience and, chemistry and physiology and all those things, I was like, I cannot wait to actually read something that I really just want to read, that I have time to read. So I actually was told in this aptitude test that I should heavily be looking into science when, ironically, when I was a junior in high school, I skipped science. I didn't take science my junior year because I didn't have to. And I don't know why, because in hindsight, I did really well in it. And I was in advanced science. I liked biology a lot, but I didn't want to do it my junior year. But by my senior year, I had to have a science credit. And I actually landed in anatomy and physiology because, ironically, it was the only class open that I could switch to be in the lunch with all my friends because I wasn't in the right lunch. So priorities, of course. But as it turns out, I fell in love with anatomy and physiology. I just hadn't had the chance to see the bigger picture of biology or how it would relate to something I could be so passionate about, which is the human body. Back when course catalogs at college were in paper, my mom found occupational therapy in the handbook and said I should look into it. I had never heard of it, but she said it incorporated my aptitudes in one package. Listen, I consider myself motivated, a good student, I'm driven, but in high school, I didn't care about college or where I was going or what I was going to major in. I mean, I knew I was going, I knew I was going to, do something wonderful, whatever, but I wasn't worried about anything besides what I was going to do Friday night, my social life. I was big into tennis, so when my next tennis match was, I couldn't think beyond high school, let alone my major. I chose my college because it was in Texas. TCU, go Frogs. It was a pretty campus. It was a good school. I loved the city. And now I'm 50. I am an occupational therapist, and I've achieved those goals that I set out to do. And I have loved my job every single day of my life. I have never not loved my job. And I now understand it's because I'm using all of my best aptitudes when I do my job. So listen to your mother. Go find out what your real aptitudes are, not the superficial ones, the deep dive. You won't regret it. I have really enjoyed looking back at those results as an adult because those are still my aptitudes. They don't change in life. And then I even have fun comparing them to my children's results, to the two of my boys that have taken it already. It's amazing to see what they're really good at and how I could have nailed it, just like my mom totally nailed what I was good at before I ever took the test. So when I was told to write my story, I thought my only option was a book. Since I finished EMDR therapy, which I've talked about, my husband and my parents kept telling me I really needed to slow it down and not do so much. Don't we all? We all hear that. I thought writing a book will slow me down, will keep me at home. Anyway, I knew that I needed to slow down. I was living in fight or flight. I was trying to keep up with all the kid activities. I was still continuing to do my own healing inside of myself. On top of, we had just moved to a new city. I was trying to make new friends. I was trying to help my kids get involved in activities and make new friends. We were renovating a house. I was just finding my place in a new city. So I was on total overload. I couldn't complete a thought. I would forget words mid-sentence. I was not my usual organized self. I was in a constant state of overwhelm. I was a hot mess, and I totally knew it. So while I firmly believe that the EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, I always forget the reprocessing part, helped me or even treated me, because I wouldn't be here talking if I hadn't gone through EMDR. It helps you recover from trauma because it creates these new neural pathways in your brain to route around the bad ones. And by creating these new neural pathways, it's possible for you to become more sensitive or aware of potential dangers because they're brand new pathways. Almost like those old damaged pathways had developed a callus, but the new fresh pathways were like fresh baby skin. Does that make sense? I became acutely aware of my overwhelm and the inability to juggle all the balls I used to be able to fully juggle with no problem at all. And it was very frustrating to me, but even more frustrating when the people who loved me pointed it out. Crazy independent I am here. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to do all the things that I usually did. I didn't want to be psychoanalyzed and have my family whisper their concerns about me. I don't know yet if that's something that you can build back up over time, if it's good, if you want to build those calluses, as I'm only a couple years out. But I knew I needed to get a grip on my commitments and time management quickly before I broke down from exhaustion. So that is what I set out to do, fix my brain. I think we all know how hard it is to slow down. We're all doing way too much, but I really wanted to pull back a notch or two. I felt off and I felt brain fog. It was not overnight, and it's hard work to say no, even to really good things in your life. I worked diligently on focusing on saying no to the things that were not a part of my long-term goals or would not keep me healthy. I focused on what mattered to me the most, not to be selfish, but what would fill my cup, what would allow me to do what I love and do it efficiently. I say that even saying I quit my Bible study. I loved my Bible study. That's who I am. And I love the women that were in it. I love the friendships. I love the community. Oh, I love them. But for this season, I felt like I was going to Bible study. I was chit-chatting beforehand, which I loved, doing the Bible study and then chit-chatting afterwards. And before I knew it, the day was gone. And all of a sudden, it was time to pick my kids up at school. So half the time, truth be told, I hadn't even finished the actual homework. So because I didn't think I was using my time wisely, I decided to use that same time each week to do my own Bible study at home. I am positive that my seasons will change because I love that community. That is part of who I am. But for right now, I really assessed what stayed and what went in order to give me more peace and more time to do the things I love with more peace in my life. Now, I am still working, but I am working on my scheduling of my time more efficiently. But I also have to let go of overscheduling and doing things that I don't really need to be doing. So now I love the commitments that I have, and I am so much better at what I am doing because I love what I'm doing. What I've chosen fits in the parameters of my aptitudes and not necessarily my desires. Can you imagine how long it would take me to design that darn ceiling in my house that I'm renovating right now? I would just quit. I would totally freeze up. It's not my forte. I would actually pay someone not to do that job, which I'm doing. So for the first time in 3 years, I feel an incredible peace. It's life-giving. I have my tennis, which I love. I am getting certified as an integrative health practitioner, which I'm ecstatic about. That is totally my wheelhouse. My podcast, I love this. I'm getting to where I really, really love this because guess what? I love the research. I love the reading. Those were all my aptitudes. And I practice occupational therapy still. I do it PRN, but I do it 2 to 3 times a month or extra times when they need it. I do it because I love it. Do you know what else I did? I let my cleaning lady go. I know, big moment. Oh, how I loved her and how I needed her. I have a house with 4 men and 2 dogs. But my thinking was that if I didn't have a cleaning lady to help me out, I had to clean my own house, which mean it would force me to stay at home more. And being at home more was one of my personal goals. That was my priority. And it worked. And despite the fact that I am in the middle of a renovation, I would expect total chaos in my house. And you know what? My house is surprisingly clean. I am much more efficient with my time when I'm doing what I love. The person who I listened to about choosing to podcast, ironically through her podcast, hooked me when she said, you can let go of social media and the hours spent attempting to keep up with the algorithms and staying relevant. It's really funny because I never kept up. I froze when it came to social media and posting because I wasn't good at it. Now, instead of feeling pressure to post something about a business or not posting because I froze, or taking an hour to create something that would take someone who's really good at it less than 5 minutes, then I felt guilty because I didn't do what someone told me I should be doing. I feel great. I'm not good at it, nor do I really care. So for me, podcasting fits into who I am because I get to do the research, I get to talk. You don't have to look at me, and I don't have to take a picture of myself and post it on social media. Podcasting is not about how you look, but it's long form. It's sharing your heart and your passion and people really getting to know me and who I am and what I'm about. I'm not about judging anyone that's really good at social media. I am so impressed with you and more power to you. I tip my hat, but I know without a doubt that I am not good at it. So taking selfies and posting pics of myself are not my thing. It stressed me out when I was made to feel that I needed to make a post or a reel. I wanted that time to read or to listen to a book or listen to a podcast. I am not even a scroller on social media. That is not a weakness for me. Maybe I see your post if you're in like the top 10 posts that I see when I open it up. To me, it's like shopping at TJ Maxx. And I am sorry, Lindsay, to my TJ Maxx friends, I absolutely hate shopping there because everything is so random and so disorganized. I feel like social media and all the different platforms are messy, and I hate the ads. And probably because I don't teach the algorithms what I like because I'm not on there enough, but the ads are all consuming and I never actually see what I want to see, which are my friends and your kids. And it gives me a headache. So if you were to open my Instagram account on the occasion that I do, it's all dog videos. That's it, because those are the only videos that I open that people send to me. Absolutely nothing else. I'm just not cut from the social media cloth. So it doesn't mean I wish I could be better. It just means I know I shouldn't spend my precious time there doing something that takes me twice as long as other people, and I don't even enjoy it. I want to focus on helping people through what I have experienced through Crohn's disease, through my failed medications, through my learning experience of coming from being full-on medical model to thinking, maybe there's something else out there that can supplement this. I want to share my really difficult times, my faith, or for people who are just going through difficult times, period, how to lean into your faith, your family, your friends, and just keep swimming. I like making friends with you, with people I don't even know. I want to build those relationships. My kids were the entire reason that I got out each day when I was sick. I had to take care of them. Otherwise, I would have curled up in a ball and died for the excruciating pain that I was in. It really, really was not fun. I read Job, the book of Job, 100 times. If you've never read the book of Job in the Bible, it's incredibly depressing. I have to pinch myself every day to see that I am here, right here. I am talking to you. I am without pain. I am not telling my husband I'm going to the ER. I am not asking my family to come help me with my kids while I check into the hospital. I am not getting iron infusions, blood transfusions. I am not at a different doctor's appointment every single day. Talk about a time suck is going to the doctor every single day. I never dreamed that where I am now was ever possible for me. I thought that that's just who I had to be. I do have to remind myself that the daily stresses today are nothing compared to fighting for good health and having no pain. That is where my heart is. That is what I want to share. I am a total starving artist doing this. My husband has asked me, is this just a passion project kind of adventure thing, or is there going to be an ROI on this? And I just laugh. I've had lots of entrepreneurial endeavors, if you know me, but I really believe that they have all pointed me here. Years ago, I prayed for that testimony that I never thought I had, and I got it. So I better be sharing it. God sees me. He knows what I do with what I've been given and what I prayed for. He knows my heart. There is no amount of gratitude that is measurable to be living the life that I am living right now. No one here in my new city would know anything about me or my history if it weren't for me talking about it. It's amazing. I look healthy. I have to share it. And back when I started writing a book and my life started crumbling, a podcast wasn't even in my vocabulary. So this timing has been perfect. And for the record, I'm looking at the time. This one's just going to get a little long. I'm sorry. Speed it up a little bit. I'm very passionate about this. So when I finally said no to all the things I didn't need to do, which I believe is so many of us, that's why I'm very passionate here, I structured my time better to do what I loved, and I thrived in those moments, which made my time more efficient. To get messages from people from this podcast, from y'all, who don't know me, brings me so much joy. It fills my cup. I have not perfected any of this. I am in the preschool. In fact, I would say I am in the infant stage of podcasting. I'm still learning about audio and what all these little buttons mean on the microphone, but I have so much to learn, and I love this piece. I am attempting to create a Facebook page after I just went off on social media, but I want to create an area for Becoming Natural so there's a community of people of like minds who can share and chat, but it's not about me. It's about sharing what you're learning and asking questions. I have so many kinks to work out with this thing, with the emails, with the website, with podcasting. But to me, that's the funny part. I lived in a science lab all of college and all of graduate school. I didn't even get my first email until I was in graduate school. I'm dating myself a little bit. So I am learning new things just by learning how to do this whole big package of podcasting, and I love it. I always said I wanted to be a stay-at-home dog mom, but here I am with my dogs while I write and podcast and research. I am in literal heaven. I am a lifelong learner, and this is exactly where I want to be. Now I just have to learn how to show my husband that I can finance it. So today's lesson for the 99% of you who are just like me, and I know it, whether you admit it or not, I know who you are. You are having lunch with someone that you really, really like. But will you see them again in the next 6 months? You're in a great neighborhood club that you like. Everybody's doing mahjong or canasta or bridge. I don't know how to play bridge, but it's really taking a lot of time away from your family, especially if you have a full-time job. Is that something that you really love? Is that wine club that you've been in for 10 fabulous years, is it still serving the same great purpose in your life now that your kids aren't babies and you just really wanted a place to get away? Is it serving your time well? And listen, I get friends. I am a girl time kind of a girl. I love going out with my friends. But are the groups that you're prioritizing people that still encourage and lift you up for the season that you're in right now? You're running ragged, going to PTA meetings that you don't really want to go to, but you feel obligated to be volunteering at your child's school. Or are you scrolling on social media? Before you know it, you've been on social media for 2 hours. There are hundreds of examples of ways we use or misuse our time. Self-included, friends. Self-included. I am not saying that I have mastered this at all. I am always looking for ways to trim the fat. So we're going to do something. If you're driving, do this at home. But in fact, this is the beginning of the year, sort of. And this is a great time to assess your time well spent. So I want you to grab a piece of paper and I want you to write down your top 3 priorities or your top goals that you want to do to change for this year, for you, for your family, for yourself. I mean, I have way more than 3, but just start with 3 and you can expand later. Start with your top 3 things that you're really feeling moved to improve upon or change for the better. For example, I want to spend more time with my family. I want less hustle and bustle, and I want more peace in my life. I want to be more present when I am home with my family. I want to be more present with my family. I want to get accomplished more in less time. I want to be more focused and not so distracted. You don't have to stop at 3, but let's start with 3 or 4 things. What would you love to wave your wand and improve about your life first? So now I want you to write down everything you do in a week and a month. I know some things occur weekly, others monthly. So get it all out there, every single thing that you do, every last thing, and rate them. They're going to be a 1 or a 2. 1, yes, it supports my goals. 2, no, it does not support my goals. So be very honest with yourself. Even if you love these clubs, even if you love being in PTO or you feel obligated to go to lunch with this friend, if you gave it a 2-star, you need to start working towards clearing it off your plate. If it means leaving that club and you feel the need to explain or just say you're working on getting control of your calendar in order to help be a better version of yourself, nobody is going to argue with you because I guarantee you they're feeling the same way. For whatever reason, we are in a society where we feel like we need to go, 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 and it's like a badge of honor to do too much. But remember, as you're clearing these things from your plate, it's not forever. This is just a season. You are not saying, I am forever going to quit this club and never look back. It is just for this season. I am here to tell you that this was a 2 to 3 year process for me. From when I started my EMDR to now is when I finally feel good, but I'm still working on improving it. But it took 2 to 3 years for me to feel really good, to whittle down those activities. I was already committed to a role. I didn't feel good about quitting on someone. I definitely didn't want to walk away from something that I'd given my word on, or I was still evaluating something like my Bible study. If it would be good for me to eliminate it or not. Some things we need to walk away from are still very good things. Don't get lost in that. But do they support your top 3 priorities right now? And if they don't, you need to start letting go. And, back on the Bible study thing, maybe try going to a different Bible study where it's a different format, or you don't know the people as well. So you're not going to stay in chit chat. Clearly, I have a chit chatting problem, but look at it from different angles. What is going to be the best use of your time right now? Start letting go, even if it's something that's good. Give yourself grace. Finish out the school year if you need to, but stop adding to the pile of crazy. Learn to say no to being in charge of that school fundraiser next year. You can still lunch with special friends, but maybe you start your commitment just by doing 1 lunch date a month. Help slow your roll. Somehow figure out a way to slow it down. My favorite is my husband telling me that I needed to turn off my notifications on my laptop because I get really distracted, because I get a ping from an email, then I get a ping from a text, and I don't get anything accomplished. At the end of the day, I'm so frustrated that I haven't accomplished anything. And I'm like, give a mouse a cookie. The book, you just keep following down, all of a sudden you forget what you started. That was a game changer. I loved that suggestion. Now I get 0 notifications on my laptop. And if I'm really serious, I put my phone in a different room and I don't pay attention to it so I can focus when I am working. And I love the suggestion. But now if I don't text him ahead of time to tell him, okay, I'm going underground, inevitably he will call or he will text and not get a response, and he is certain that means that I am dead. This, however, is a great thing to do. I get 0 notifications. I don't get distracted. I have peace like a river. I put my phone in the other room and I am totally undisturbed. Duly noted. I texted my husband before I went live here to tell him I'm going silent. So don't think that I'm dying. Don't think that I am down for the count. And please don't panic. I am trying to get something accomplished. So eliminating unnecessary activities, or not canceling them for life. It's reevaluating your priorities in this season of life. Nothing has to be permanent. And I will add that once I started calming my schedule down, which is always a work in progress, by the way, I started nesting more, which is what I wanted, and eliminating physical things from my life. I started cleaning out my house. I started cleaning out my closet, the kitchen pantry. I found that when my head was clearing up, that my life was cleaning up. When my head is crazy and unfocused and distracted, it was reflected in my house and my family and my parenting and my relationships. As I improve upon my scheduling and my time organization, I have more peace in my head, in my house, and in my relationships. I actually think this is going to be a great place for me to pause, because this is going to be long, and in the interest of time and you not getting sick of listening to me, we'll make this into 2 episodes. I'm also going to have a bonus episode this week, so keep checking back. This is the end of part 1 of saying no to the overwhelm, and we're going to come back with part 2 of saying no to the overwhelm and learning how to get control of your life and your time and be more efficient with the time that you have and how you use it. Hope you have a great day. One of the best additions to my daily routine that shifted my understanding of holistic health was my USDA organic high-quality CBD oil. CBD is often misunderstood because not all CBD is the same. You do not feel this. This reputable family-owned company in North Carolina allowed me to get off opiates and live life without pain again. It is safe for ages 0 to 100 and can also help with joints, mood, sleep, future age-related annoyances, and so much more. You can check out my website at pennysampler.com, which includes $10 off your first order. I am incredibly passionate about sharing its benefits. If you would like personal assistance with selecting the products, please fill out the simple health assessment quiz in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, hit that follow button, leave a 5-star review if you're so willing, and help spread the message of Becoming Natural by sharing it with a friend. Check out the resources in the show notes and join the email list to stay on top of all the latest and greatest happenings at Becoming Natural as we roll out exciting new things while we grow. Until next time, take those baby steps to a more natural life and always give yourself grace. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. See you next week.